Okay, so we talked about 3 different ways to approach closing the distance on a tall guy. That being one of the biggest problems that people run into with dealing with a taller opponent is the fact that they have to cross that distance. And the first step, literally, towards crossing that distance is controlling the footwork, either drawing them in or cutting off the room so that I can work my hands. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about striking, setting up punches, and things of that nature. One of the biggest problems that people run into in boxing in general, especially at an early stage of boxing, is headhunting. Always wanting the swing, get the big knockout, get the big shot. And that can really lead to a downward spiral if you're dealing with a taller opponent, because they have that to their advantage. The problem is, and it happens a lot when you're dealing with taller opponents, when you start to put on serious pressure and start to throw heavy, they have a tendency to pick their chin up and back up. And when he picks his chin up and backs out, leans away from these punches, you can see I have some real problem. Now you say, okay, well, he's open. He is open. The problem is I'm moving in. He's created a barrier, and as I'm trying to throw my shots here, he's moving away. Okay. Now, if I have good footwork and good head movement, I might be able to get around him. And that's what we're going to talk about. But before we get even into that far, we need to address the fact that he's using his height and his reach to his advantage here. And that's to say, when they're standing up this far, it's a big effort to try and loop your shots over there, and they always are going to get the first target. This hand will basically set me up for his right. So instead, I'm going to work to the body. I need to bring his head down to where I can hit it if I want to land some shots to his head. I'm not going to waste my energy trying to go over and around when he's doing this and keeping his distance. But once I can get to his body and you get a couple good shots in there, they'll start to sit down a little bit more. Then you can start faking to the body, drawing the reaction, and coming back up on top. Now, if I want to get a reaction from him, I can't throw little shots like this. Okay, all that's going to do is make me eat his right hand. Bang. Okay. If I'm going to throw to the body, it needs to be effective. Okay. One, it needs to physically double him over when I rip that shot in. Or at the very least, when he covers on this shot, and I hit him, I want him to go, not want to eat that shot. I want him to go, oh, I'm not letting that happen again. Now I can fake and come over or come through. So, we're going to work the body in order to set up the head. Now, we still have this to deal with. We still have to cross this distance. We have to deal with this. We're going to deal with this not from here when he's already got this on my head. If this is already happening, I'm waiting too long to initiate my attack. Okay. If I'm walking into this thing and then trying to find a way around it, he's going to be throwing punches back at me, or just opening up that distance and making me tired. So instead, what I need to think about is, when I take a step forward here, right about here, he's going to put that jab out, if he knows his reach. Bang. Okay, there's his jab. So any attack I'm going to do doesn't start when I'm getting hit. I anticipate the fact that that's about his reach, and as he goes to throw that jab, I'm going to get underneath. So that's the first part I'm going to do, is get underneath that jab. Okay? Now, here's the thing. If I'm going to try and get under this jab, it's not 2 movements where as I change levels and then I go forward. If I do that, as I change levels, he'll change levels too, and I'll still have this problem. I have to draw him into throwing that jab and change levels as I come forward. Now, for our first counter, I'm just going to throw a left hook to the body. And when I do, I'm going to move out to the side. So if I bring Tim over here, put his back to the camera. When I change levels here, here's how it's going to look. And see, it sends his jab. This is where I'm going. Again, here. I'm going to step through with my rear leg, and I'm going to rip a nice left hook to the body. So as I move in here, this is where my shot is called. Good. From the side, please. As I move in, this is my shot. One more time. From the other side. Now, notice what I'm not doing is this, and running away. I'm not diving out and leaving my hand in there all by itself. I stay with it. It's a very small movement. Because I want to be able to follow this up. Okay. I finally got in. I finally was able to cross that distance. I want to be able to go to work. I don't want to throw one shot and then have to go through the whole process again. So I size up what his reach is. We've been doing that the whole time with footwork. Once I size that up, now I can work on setting up his jab and putting in that hook to the body.